If you live in the Eastern Townships of Québec and are looking for support, information, or education around mental health and dealing with mental illness, either for yourself, for family members, or perhaps for friends, well, I know a great organization that can help. Hi there, my name is Humphrey and welcome back to About Townshippers. Now this is where we talk about the organizations, the individuals, and the events that really make a positive difference in the lives of English speakers that are living throughout Quebec's Eastern Townships. Now for the last few years, and more so during the pandemic, collectively we've been talking a lot more about the importance of mental health and about how to best go about managing the impact of mental illness in our lives. And Tanya Gibson is the Executive Director of Mental Health Estrie. And she's with us today to talk about all the different services offered by her organization and how we can get access to those services. Here's our chat. Well, good morning, Tanya, and welcome to About Townshippers.
Hi, Ed. Good morning. It's great to be with you today.
So let's jump right in. Tanya, unfortunately, or fortunately, since last March, we've been hearing a lot more about mental illness and the role that it plays in many people's lives. And in your opinion, what is the main lingering, really tenacious, and I put an emphasis on tenacious, misconception about mental illness that once and for all you'd kind of like us just to put behind us so that we can all move on?
I think a lot of times people have a certain image maybe in their mind of what mental illness looks like, and it's not so real to them until either they themselves have experienced it or someone they love is going through it, and it really puts more of a face on mental illness. But many people are familiar with the statistics that 1 in 5 people in Canada at any given time will be dealing with a mental illness. Many others are not familiar with the fact that that's at any given time, and that by the age of 40, 50% of Canadians will have experienced a mental health problem at some point in their lives. So it's really a lot more common than we realize. If people reach 90 years of age and older, about 65% of men and 70% of women will have experienced a mental health problem at some point in their lives. So when we consider the impact also on family caregivers, friends, and loved ones, virtually everyone in Canada is impacted at some point in their lives by mental illness. It's incredibly common, and yet we still often live in shame. We're afraid to talk about it. And when we do talk about it, we realize, oh my gosh, everyone starts coming and saying, I've had that too, I've dealt with that. So it's important that we open up those doors of discussion. It's important that we're comfortable and when we normalize the word. Mental illness is an illness like any other. Nobody asks to have a health problem, and this is a health problem. So despite the fact that mental illness is incredibly common and that many of us will be touched by it at some point in our lives, we still deal with shame and remain silent, oftentimes dealing with things on our own until a point of desperation. So I think the important thing is that people are aware that research indicates that early intervention leads to better long-term outcomes. The sooner we get help, the more likely we are to go on and lead satisfying lives. Years ago, we didn't have a lot of hope. We didn't necessarily know that mental illness was as treatable as it is. And today we know that most people who seek professional help recover. So it's important to create awareness around that and to encourage people to get help.
So would you say that the awareness, this increased awareness caused or brought about by COVID and the pandemic, it's a good thing then, this new awareness?
Certainly any awareness is a good thing, and anything that's going to open up more conversations surrounding mental illness, hopefully that will lead to better services provided.
How important are your services, Mental Health Estrie? How important are they to English speakers throughout the townships?
Incredibly important. When we look at the history of organizations working in health and social services, many times they exist because somebody recognized there was a gap in services. So the goal in organizations, community organizations like this, is really to fill that gap. And years ago, we've been here now, we just celebrated our 15th anniversary. We didn't celebrate as in the way that we wanted to. So we're looking forward to celebrating with the community in the future when that's a little more permitted. But we've been here since 2005. And the reason that we exist is because at that time, families had nowhere to go to get comprehensive mental health community-based services. And so families at that time were going all the way to Montreal to an organization called AMI Quebec, which has a mandate to support family members who are caregiving to a loved one with a mental illness. So 2-hour trek all the way out there. And, it was recognized we need this kind of a service in the Eastern Townships. So we're very a grassroots organization that was really founded by family members and other committed, passionate community members to say, let's bring that to the Eastern Townships.
So your services are specific to English speakers.
That's right. And the reason for that is that we're serving the minority English speaking community. It's a community that's faces a greater number of challenges in accessing the services. No matter the language, there's a lot of barriers to getting mental health services and to finding them and to navigating the system.
Now, Tanya, can you give me an example of one or two programs or services that are still really going strong during the pandemic? Because there's a lot of different services throughout the community that have been put on the shelf for the time being. But what are some of the services that are really going strong from your organization?
Yeah, I think for us, when we first were told it's ideal, everyone was encouraged to work from home. Our goal was, okay, let's prioritize staff safety and community safety. So that's been our goal the whole time. And to that end, we really jumped on, we need to learn some technologies here. So that was our focus in the immediate aftermath. And we're really well equipped at this point. Staff are speaking to each other live all throughout the day. We have a program where we can type to each other or even hop on a call. And we have a number, our office number is forwarding always to a staff member during office hours. So that would be Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., unless we're in a meeting such as this. And basically all of our services are still there. They're just adapted. So our virtual support groups are still ongoing. In the fall, we did have a few in-person activities, and we certainly look forward to having a few in-person activities as well when the situation permits in the future. We have our information and referral services, and individual support is done by telephone or we can be emailed. We still have our lending library. If someone wants to borrow a book on a mental health topic, they can give us a call, share a little bit about your situation, and we can look and see if we have something that might be fitting to be borrowed and set up an appointment to just make that exchange at the door safely.
There's one thing that caught my eye. It was the hugs program. What's that all about?
That's our annual campaign that's been running for approximately 10 years or so, where we collect new warm items of clothing for the local homeless shelters. And it was a little bit of a concern this year as to how do we safely collect the items. And also we were a little bit worried sometimes some of our previous donors, maybe a lot of people are experiencing hardships this year. Were we still going to receive as many donations? And we were absolutely amazed with the products that came in, the items that came in. Very heartwarming, and it was a very successful year. And we came up with a system where we put a bin outside here at 3355 College, and people could just drop off the items in the bin, and we tried to check it as often as we could. So we were also able to do that while keeping community members safe.
Now the hugs, that's also an acronym, is it not?
Yes, hats, underwear, gloves, socks, and scarves.
That's just so good. It's so well thought of.
I agree. Yep. And also we collect other warm items of clothing. So long johns, coats if people have them, or gently used boots. Blankets are also very much appreciated as well, because there are unfortunately times where the homeless shelter may not have any more space and they might need to send someone away. And if they do, they'll give them a blanket at least, and they won't get that blanket back, but at least it will keep somebody warm.
What would you say to someone that may have a need or may know someone that has a mental health need, but are on the fence and maybe hesitating to contact Mental Health Estrie? What would you say to them?
I think the important thing is that there's no commitment if they call us. They can really call, and they don't need to give their name. They don't need to give the name of the person they might be calling about, so they can remain anonymous. And as long as there's no risk of harm to self or harm to others, it's a completely confidential call. So that information remains with us, and it can just be an information searching call. Where can I go to get these services? And it can take a lot of courage to make that first phone call to ask for help, but it's a sign of strength.
Well, Tanya Gibson, you are the Executive Director of Mental Health Estrie, and you've been really generous with your time today. I know we could go on for probably about 3 hours. You guys offer so many important services. So thank you very much. And we're going to keep in touch because I really want to continue this conversation really soon. So you have a great day. Go off and misbehave.
Thanks, Ed. You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
For more information on the services offered by Mental Health Estrie and how to contact their great team, well, please take a look down here in the video description. Sometimes it's up here as well. It may be there. And if you've enjoyed today's information, well, please like and share, because that's really how we spread all this great information to the English speakers living throughout the townships. Now, don't forget, you can also subscribe to Townshippers Association's YouTube channel. Well, thanks a lot for spending a bit of your time with us today. My name is Ed Humphrey, and we're going to be back really soon with a brand new episode of About Townshippers. So we'll see you then.